Beka erresuma batukoa da, 2016tik bizi eta lan egiten du Grezian, eta 2019ko urtarriletik dago liburutegian. Arabiera eta farsia ikasi zituen unibertsitatean, musikaria da, eta musika tradizionala interpretatzen du Europa osoko talde ezberdinekin. Hasim, Afganistanen jaio zen, 2021ko Afganistanen jaio zen, hango unibertsitatean fizika ikasi zuen, eta 2020an Europara iritsi zen, 2020an, osea, aurreko urtean. 2021ko hasieran voluntario gisa sartu zen liburutegian, eta maiatzetik aurrera bekarekin batera koordinatzailea da. Online hezkuntzako master bat ikasten ari da, eta aldi berean, Atenasen oinarritutako beste erakunde batzuei laguntzen die bere hizkuntza ezagutzarekin. Aurkezpen honetan, bekak eta Hasimek ikuspegi orokor bat eskaintzen dute migratzaileei eta asilo-eskatzaileei laguntzeko Greziako liburutegi-zerbitzuaren bidez egiten duten ahaleginari buruz. La última presentación es un tanto especial, es un vídeo que viene de tierras lejanas, viene de Atenas, de Grecia, y que esperamos os guste tanto como nos ha gustado a nosotras cuando lo hemos recibido y lo hemos visto. Lleva por título Unbordering Greece, Eco Multilingual Library, y está realizado por los coordinadores de la biblioteca que se llaman Becca Wolf y Asim Salimi. Becca nació en Reino Unido, vive y trabaja en Grecia desde el año 2016 y lleva en la biblioteca desde enero de 2019. Estudió árabe y farsi en la universidad, es música profesional e interpreta música tradicional con diferentes grupos en toda Europa. Asim nació en Afganistán, estudió allí física en la universidad, pues no sé exactamente si sería de la capital, pero sabemos que estudió física allí. Llegó a Europa en el año 2020, se incorporó a la biblioteca como voluntario a principios del 2021 y desde mayo es, junto con Becca, coordinador de la biblioteca. Está estudiando un máster en educación en línea, a la vez que apoya con sus conocimientos de idiomas a otras organizaciones con base en Atenas. En este caso queremos subrayar que la biografía no es exactamente una biografía profesional, son personas que han ido a, que han ido a instalar este proyecto en un campo de refugiados, en un entorno absolutamente difícil, pero que son estudiantes, son músicos, no son bibliotecarios. En esta presentación, Becca y Asim ofrecen una visión general de cómo tratan de apoyar a los migrantes y solicitantes de asilo vulnerables. Y damos entrada al vídeo porque lo explica mucho mejor de lo que lo puedo explicar yo. Así es que nada, adelante Iker. Aurrera, mila esker.
Hello everybody, I hope you're well, and a massive thank you to inviting us to come and speak at your Libraries Day. I'm sorry we couldn't be there in person. My name is Becca, I'm originally from the UK. I studied Arabic and Farsi at university many years ago. I've been in Greece since 2017 and I've been working with the library now since the beginning of 2019. And I will just let my fellow coordinator introduce himself.
Hey everyone, thank you for inviting us and thank you for having us. My name is Azim, I'm 25 years old also. I'm from Afghanistan and I graduated from physics and doing my master degree nowadays. And also nowadays I'm volunteering with ECHOs as a project coordinator. And actually I love books and I wish that everyone should have access to books and desired education and opportunities.
Perfect. So today we hope to give you a little overview of how the project came about, along with how we currently organize, as well as the barriers that are preventing people from accessing library services here in Greece and services in general, followed by an explanation as to how we try and combat these barriers. And I'll quickly show you a little introduction of us, but also our coordinator, Giulio, who's there in the middle, who couldn't be with us today.
Nice.
Okay.
So I would like to start by saying who and what is ECHO. ECHO actually was founded by a group of solidarians in northern Greece in 2016. When the borders closed, they found themselves supporting a community of Syrian refugees who were living in abandoned petrol station called ECHO. And they quickly realized that many of the residents had a strong desire to make actually the most of their time, and could easily become like empty and frustrating. And when the ECHO residents were resettled in different camps around Thessaloniki, the volunteers understood that the best way is to serve most of communities in this supposedly temporary camps was to be mobile. And like the same fast forward to 2021 with a different team and a different one, but our objectives remain the same, to offer people ways to overcome the boundaries they are facing in their lives through education, community, hope, and opportunities. And also, last year we developed a statement of what we stand for as a project. In brief, we actually stand for 6 things: solidarity, libraries for all, homes for all, against borders, people not profit, and anti-fascism. Yeah. And the next slide is borders, which is...
Thanks, Azim. Obviously there's a lot to say about this, but we will do our best to kind of keep it brief. The first thing to say is that many people that we meet want to stay in Greece or would stay in Greece and they could, but they are prevented to do so by a lack of integration services and options. There are no sincere efforts in Greece at creating an integration program. There is only lip service and constant reluctance and deliberate mismanagement. The Minister for Migration, Notis Mitarakis, has said that Greece should only be a reception point and not a place for permanent resettling of refugees. And to take this point further, when Afghanistan's government was crumbling and the Taliban was rolling into the streets of Kabul, instead of empathy and compassion for the situation, he repeated himself that Greece cannot be the reception point for another influx of refugees. Through deliberate government policy, the Greek government makes life as difficult as possible for asylum seekers and recognise refugees here. We've got up here on the slide a few of the main things. Firstly, the isolation. The camps that we visit and that the library serves are remote and not well connected to urban centres. The services that are in Athens that people want normally involve a journey involving walking and at least one change of public transport, all of which has to be paid for. Anything that can be considered a pull factor in the camp itself is removed from the camp under the guise of the Greek government's responsibility to protect residents. And this has resulted most recently in our library now having to operate outside the camps at the camp entrance. Regarding information, inside the camps, information points or services are very limited or non-existent, and often people don't trust the information that they receive because of a lack of transparency in both camp management and in the asylum process itself. Looking at it from the other side, Greek media is extremely biased and is generally echoing the government's own racist agenda. NGOs and grassroots activists have been labelled as bloodsuckers, whilst the government grants massive portfolios and money and funding relating to refugee housing to previously unknown NGOs with no experience, but a close relationship with members of the government or business allies. In addition to this, there exists a gagging order whereby no one is permitted to talk publicly about what goes on inside the camps. This is a chilling effect, aiming to intimidate actors such as ourselves from speaking out and from organising. Recently, Reporters Without Borders said, press freedom suffered in Greece in 2020. The Conservative government granted generous tax rebates on advertising in the media, but sought directly or indirectly to control the flow of information closely as part of its efforts to deal with both the coronavirus pandemic and the refugee crisis. And on top of the lack of easy and reliable information to access, we also have the language barrier. There is a huge demand for both Greek and English language classes that is not being met by camp authorities or the government. And classes run by solidarity groups and other projects are oversubscribed or difficult to get to if you live in a camp and the courses are in Athens. In addition, a lack of childcare and other circumstances prevents many from accessing these classes. Azim?
Yeah, exactly. And also there is something going on, and that's a so-called safe spaces. But the reality is that the camps are not safe places at all. In general, they're male-dominated with unspoken hierarchies. And also, for example, in Unufitak, it is one of the camps that we are going. The main entrance space is a coffee shop. It's like a coffee shop area. And women actually do not walk through there, using a side entrance instead. And also Afghan families that also housed outside the main structure in a separate tent also don't feel comfortable going into the main building at all. In another camp, which is called Malakasa, in Malakasa, the fights break out almost every day, and women are not feeling safe inside their caravans, outside, and even around the toilets and bathrooms. And on the top of this, unfortunately, there's the community, the transit nature of the camp, demographics, and the scarcity of resources are an almost constant source of tension. There are few or no spaces for people to meet, to engage in community activities. And also in Malakasa, the one space they did have is now full of, it's now unfortunately, it's full of tents, and people are just living inside that. And also education, lack of education. There are really few options for adults who wanted to study. The dream of continuing your education here is reliant on your being able to support yourself financially and being able to speak fluent Greek, which is impossible. Like, it is very difficult Greek. And also for children, the situation is really worse. It's a shamefully small fraction of children of physical age are actually attending a school. A lack of transport and the provision of teachers hinder children's education. Even if actually they manage to attend school, children are not integrated into mainstream classes effectively, leaving them feeling excluded and segregated. And also, the last point about is that recreational activities. Actually, to be honest, options are extremely limited. Our attempts at opening permanent library spaces have been unsuccessful, and residents rely on self-organized activities or their phones for entertainment. People are left with a lot of time, and actually because they don't have anything to do, and they're nowadays, like, most of them are developing mental health. And yeah, at the library, we are going to next.
Okay, so it seems that we have a lot of really quite insurmountable problems.
Exactly.
We can't solve them all, but we do our best in the circumstances. As a library, here on the screen, you can see what we do our best to do. I'll try and move our here. There you go. Quite simply, we loan books. Fiction, non-fiction, poetry, politics, history, philosophy, psychology. We have thousands of books now in 3 main languages, Arabic, Farsi, and English, with smaller collections in Turkish, French, Kurmanji, Sorani, and Urdu. In general, people can come and borrow up to 3 books at a time, and they can come and renew them each week. Most of our books are for adults, but we also have books for teenagers and young people, as well as children's books that adults can take out for reading to their children at home. Azim, maybe you can talk a little bit about some of the favorite books that people are always asking for.
Nice. Actually, there are lots of books that people are asking, but some of the books that they're asking comes like all the time is, one of the books is Dancing in the Mosque, which is really famous. People really like it. And another one is 40 Rules of Love, and as well as Kite Runner and some poetry. And mainly people are actually asking for novels, which is fun to read. And we don't have, the books that we have is not enough. And we wish that we would have more copy of these books, which people are asking all the time for. And yeah, I think
we always need more books, especially in Farsi.
Yeah.
I wish we could have new books every week. As well as the book collection, we also have a lot of self-study resources. You can see on the slide here, the library itself, and in the front is this beautiful painted wooden thing that we call Larry, and here's our language learning resource rack. And on him, we have self-study resources for learning Greek, German, and English available from Arabic, Farsi, and French. We also have other language combinations, but those are our main ones. We developed our basic English resource after speaking with library users to find out what they wanted to learn how to say. And actually, they're so popular that we're currently writing a part 3. The thing that makes them unique is that they're designed for people with no teacher and not much internet access to, so they can work on them wherever they happen to be, whether that's at home, in their caravan, on the road, wherever. Explanations of grammatical structures are in their mother tongue, and we also have pronunciation guides for whenever you meet a new word. And yeah, they have been our most successful resources. And other groups who are teaching English in the area are also using them in the classroom. In addition to this, we also have Coursera. Coursera sign-up gives library users access to thousands of online courses in many different subjects. There's always something for everyone. And this allows people with a high enough level of English to gain professional knowledge and even qualifications, certifications. So this is a really useful resource. We've been working with Social Hackers Academy and other groups inside Athens who need access to this for their students, and it's been very successful. And at the moment, we're working on putting tablets inside the library to couple up with our free Wi-Fi access to support people in the camps who also want to study online. And
nice. Yeah, beside these activities that we are doing, we have like language practice. Actually, we offer conversation practice and informal sessions to support people learning English. And also, actually, we have done this in Greek in the past and even German. And also, we are doing some children's activities. Although we are only at each camp once in a week, we aim to provide positive interaction for children as they learn. We support them developing their creativity, communication, motor skills, and social skills through the activities we run for them. A lot of what we do is also simply introducing children to the books as a source of inspiration and learning. We always have a selection of books outside on the road for children to browse and do and just enjoy their time. And also beside this, we have like sign posting and other services like actually ECHO is a point of contact for people to find out about other services in Athens, from asylum support information sessions to booking hospitals appointments and finding English courses. Actually, we are trying our best to support our library users to find the information they need. And yeah, I think we are done for this slide, and yeah, at the session.
Okay.
At the session, yeah.
Go for it. At the session, Nazim.
Yeah, as you can see in our session, these are the pictures from our session. Actually, where we are going. So we actually travel around 450 kilometers each week to 7 or 8 different camps and community spaces, including locations in Malakasa, Onofita, Lafrio, Corinthus, and inner city of Athens. And for who? Actually, it is like in the beginning, most of our library users were Syrians, but gradually this has changed. And nowadays, about half of our library users are from Afghanistan, followed closely by Syrians, Kurds, then a small number of Iranians, Iraqis, French speaker from West Africa, Turkish people, Somalians, and Urdu speakers. And actually, how many people you're serving or offering our services? The largest camp that we serve is Malakasa, which houses around 3,000 people. After that, there are smaller camps whose numbers and demographics are constantly changing.
It's very hard to say, both demographics and the idea of knowing, having a constant idea of how many people are in the camps. First of all, so at a session, you can see here on our screen, we always send out pre-session reminders to those who have borrowed books to remind them that we're coming and maybe they'd like to return their book or get another one. During a session, we'll always have flyers in the correct languages to raise awareness of the library and our activities. If we are allowed inside the camps, we go and distribute them door to door, as normally at the same time as doing book collections. This is intercultural communication is a very important aspect for us. We try our best to make sure that we have volunteers who can communicate effectively with camp residents in their own language. And we are always looking for volunteers from the community to help us do this, people like Azim. Our loans and returns sort of setup is very, very simple. Loans and returns are logged through Google Forms and then processed once a week, normally by myself or one of the other coordinators. These forms are also in translation, so it makes it very easy for anyone who wants to start volunteering with us to quickly be sent the links and to start volunteering with the library. And so, as you can tell, our underlying aim is to make it as easy as possible to access the library and its services. We have a consistent timetable. We're always in the same place, same time every week. We don't require formal ID or a library card, just a name, a room number, location, and a phone number. The self-study resources are free, and we print new ones each week to distribute. And in the past, we've even brought round a box of books to the people in their rooms in order to ease access for mothers or people not comfortable leaving their private space. So to kind of accentuate this, I've got a few exciting statistics for you all. They're pretty simple, but I guess you can tell from these that we've learned in this past couple of years, or at least since I joined the library, that outreach is essential, but the most important thing is, in fact, having a book selection that people want to borrow from. When we started, we had virtually no Farsi books, no time to do returns messages or consistent outreach. And now with 3 coordinators and more stable funding, we are actually able to order the books we need to satisfy the demands of our readers, replace stock, and remind our library users at regular intervals that we are always there. And we can also chase them for books that they might have forgotten. We're also learning more than we did 2 years ago in the same period. 655 loans in 3 months this year, compared to 462 loans in the same 3 months of 2019. And in fact, this year in total, up until July, we made 843 loans despite lockdown, and we distributed 1,300 language learning resources, even with restricted access to the camps, which we haven't had to deal with before. It's also really wonderful to note that we're reaching demographics that are hard to engage in a camp session. For example, more than half of our loaners are teenage girls and women. Okay, take it away, Azim.
Yeah, nice. And yeah, the next slide is working with the community volunteers. Actually, it is really important for us to work with the community volunteers, working with volunteers for actually living inside the camps or who are refugees themselves. As we believe, actually, it brings us more mutual understanding of language, cultural perspective, better awareness and knowledge of people who we are trying to serve. One thing, actually, as a coordinator, since I started working as a coordinator, one thing that I'm hearing most of the time from adults who speaks Farsi or Dari, they're saying that, oh, my son, good to you that you're working with them and actually working and interpreting this stuff. Otherwise, who would understand what they are saying to us? This is really nice, and I'm happy that I'm able to interpret for them. And yeah, I would like to explain a bit more details in my own personal perspective, that how it began. Yeah, actually, as a book lover, when I first came here, I was really struggling to find books, especially in my own language, which is really challenging here to find. And fortunately, one day, like suddenly, I saw ECHO Mobile Library, and yeah, they introduced me everything, and I went and took like 3 books from them. Then after, actually for a while, I was the library user. I was taking books, and then because I really liked the idea, I asked them if I could work as a volunteer with them. And yeah, they kindly accepted, and after a couple of months volunteering with them, they have announced their vacancy as a coordinator, and I applied, and they did help me a lot through the process itself. And nowadays here I am as a coordinator, and it's almost 6 months that I am working as a coordinator. And the next one is that actually what ECHO has offered to me personally. Before, as a library user, they actually offered me the quite unique opportunity to have access the books in my own language, and as well as language resources. And I practice my English with them so much. And I think my English is fluent, exaggerating, but it's not. Yeah, it's getting better.
I'd say it's better than mine.
Yeah. So, and since becoming the coordinator, actually, they have had supported me in many ways. They supported me to develop useful skills such as social media, computer skills, getting to know so many websites and applications that actually I didn't know before about them. And communication, and because of dealing with people from different backgrounds and different cultures, I got to know a lot, and every day it is a new experience for me. And yeah, so these are the skills that I listed. And the next slide is that hopes and dreams are still alive. If we have a look inside these camps, inside these tents, it's not a good place to live, but still it is nice that hopes and dreams are alive. I personally am so grateful for ECHO, which is trying to keep hopes and dreams alive. I myself can be an example for this. Yeah, nowadays I'm hopeful and my dreams are coming true. Actually, we have so many keen readers who are living inside these tents in a really bad situation, in a really bad conditions. And I'm always excited to meet the new book lovers who just find out that we are lending books in their languages, in their own languages, actually. And I have a memory from one of our library users. He told me that my best friend is someone who is offering books as a gift for people. And he was telling us that all of you are my best friend. Yeah, this is my own perspective. And I feel so happy that I'm working. And yeah, after.
We're lucky to have you.
Next slide, the future.
The future. No one likes to talk about this. So I guess we don't have much time now, but I guess to sum this up, I think all of us would prefer that the library did not have to exist. But unfortunately, from what we have witnessed these past 5 years since the project has started, the situation on the ground suggests otherwise. And also the current government attitude is not encouraging. For us, we understand that we have to stay responsive to the ever-changing and increasingly challenging situation on the ground and fight for people's access to the library services. Giulio, our other coordinator who could not be with us today, says this: we need to work on the principle of no borders, and this includes campaigning, raising awareness, while carrying on defying the internal borders that Greece has built within the country. Camps are the strongest example of this. Over the past years, they have been turned from temporary shelters into a permanent feature of the European response to migration, enforcing an apartheid-like system. People on the move, forced within the prison-like walls and biometric gates of these camps, are prevented from accessing any chance of inclusion or integration. For many children, this has been their entire life experience.
Yeah, actually, I have something to say for the future as well. Yeah, I think for the future, in an ideal world, the library should not have to exist. I hope that the situation will improve and children should be in school and no one should be in the camps. Actually, I believe that time is precious. It's not fair wasting it just by waiting for some papers. But since the situation is actually getting worse, unfortunately, we will stay strong and we will fight for it. And also there is something that there are thousands of empty houses in Greece and as well as in Europe, but camps are not the answer. Deliberate non-integration policies are not an option. I hope that the world could be a better place. And I think we are done. And I personally thank you so much for having us. And I feel, and also feel free to contact us whenever, anytime, and any day. And I really wish that this event could happen in person, which I really like that. But anyway, it's fine.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us, and I hope this gives you just a little overview. If you have any more questions, as Azim says, feel free to get in contact. And thanks again, and have a lovely rest of your day.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Bye.